A cause for calm. The days were quite happy and full after we got married. And after some time, we conceived the child we'd always wanted. It was my first pregnancy, so of course there was a lot for me to process. But fortunately, things were progressing as well as anybody could hope. All that was left was to wait for the day our child decided to join us in the world. But there was still something weighing on my mind like a 10-ton weight.
Well, I'm off, Sofia.
Welcome home. That was the typical way I'd see him off to work in the morning.
Sofia, you've outdone yourself. This is scrumptious.
Yeah, it is quite disgusting. And that's a pretty normal conversation we'd have over dinner. To anyone overhearing us, it'd seem utterly disjointed. But to the two of us, it made perfect sense. That's because I have a confusing habit where I say the opposite of what I truly mean. I've been doing it since I was little. I'd wanted a way to make lies become the truth. I'd accidentally said something mean to my sister, and I wished it had been a lie. So I started flipping my words to the opposite of what I meant, and eventually the habit stuck. Fortunately, everyone here is familiar with my quirk, and they treat me like anyone else. I've been able to get along well enough despite my condition, all told. But it's not all raindrops and roses, especially when I meet new people. They always come out of our first conversations pretty shocked. He definitely did when we first met. To my surprise, though, he simply shrugged it off and said, "That's just who you are." He accepted me as I was, quirk and all. I doubt it will be as easy as that with our baby. Everyone has been kind enough to look out for me and help me as needed. Now it's my turn to look out for my child. I expect my ingrained habit will make it much more confusing for them to learn how to talk. Worse yet, they'll probably start to mimic me. If my child starts developing the same quirk, starts speaking in opposites, I don't know what I'll do.
How are you feeling today, Sofia? Up for a walk?
I was stewing over my dilemma one day when he invited me along on a stroll. That sounds like a horrible idea. Wait, I mean, a lovely idea. I concentrated as I spoke, practicing saying the correct words to hopefully keep my quirk in check. He blinked, looking mildly surprised. But he didn't say anything further as he bustled off to prepare. What an ugly, beautiful day. I settled down in a particularly sunny glade in the nearby forest. The breeze wafted gently past, feeling good on my skin. For all that we agreed to go on a walk, I was still pregnant. We weren't going that far, and we stopped often. But the fresh air and sunshine were exactly what I needed.
Here, for you.
Just when had he made snacks for us? I couldn't say, but he had. A small batch of delicious cookies. It's rather embarrassing, but since my pregnancy started, my appetite had ballooned. Not that it had been, particularly small in the first place. He knew that well, of course. He was always fixing sweet snacks for me. Like these cookies. It's delicious. Sweet and crispy and oh so good. My baby couldn't taste things yet, of course, but Marjorie had said the emotions I feel when eating tasty food did reach them. Ah, yes. The baby. Nibbling on my snack had reminded me of my child, which got me thinking about my issue. And before I could stop it, a sigh slipped between my lips. I hoped he might not have noticed, but of course my ever-observant husband did. He looked at me, concern writ plain across his face.
Sofia, are you okay? This walk wasn't too much for you, was it?
Yes. I mean, no. I wanted to speak correctly this time and tried concentrating on the words, but what came out wound up awkward and confusing instead.
And is there something worrying you? If you're up to sharing what's on your mind, I'd be happy to listen.
He gazed at me with wide, clear eyes that crashed through any barrier I tried to erect. I couldn't hide anything from that gaze. Not only that, the dual weight of carrying both a growing life and my incessant fear was starting to drag me down. See, I took a breath and explained my concerns over my opposite speech.
Yeah, they might start imitating you, huh?
I found myself picturing what it might be like to have a child who responded to me in the same manner I spoke. If I say I love them, they'll grin and say, I hate you. And when I make dinner, they'll look at me and say, it's yucky, right to my face. The longer I thought about it, the sadder I became. Tears pricked the corners of my eyes, but I would not cry.
Personally, I don't see anything wrong with that, if I'm being honest.
What? I blinked in surprise.
I'm already used to you talking that way, so it doesn't seem like that big a deal.
He had a point. I did cheerily say I hate you and it's disgusting to him on a regular basis.
No one in town has a problem with it either. They all know how you are.
But what about first meetings and things like that? People will be shocked. I don't want our child to feel shunned or rejected.
Everyone's been there for you, Sofia. We'll just have to do the same and be there for them.
Really? Could I even pull that off?
Besides, it hasn't been that long since we first met, and look at us now. Relax. Things will be fine, you'll see.
He reached over and gently wrapped my hands in his. He was right, too. When I was little, Papa and Evelyn were there. Now he's always there for me, too. I stuffed a cookie in my mouth, desperately trying to hold back the tears that were threatening to fall. He watched me, a grin playing on his lips that told me he could see right through me.
Hey, Sofia, how'd you like the cookies? Worked hard on them.
He asked. They're disgusting. I never want to eat them again. I answered absent-mindedly, my thoughts elsewhere. Darn it, there went my quirk again. I hurriedly slapped my hands over my mouth.
I really don't see anything wrong with the way you talk. Weirdly enough, I always know exactly what you mean.
There went that sunny grin of his again. Does he really understand me so well? I gently put my hands over my rounded tummy. I'd be lying if I said I was completely convinced, but I did want to do everything everything I could to make sure our baby was happy. My opposite speech was a pain to deal with, yes. But in a way, it was all that much harder for me to lie. And you know, maybe being a little confusing wasn't all that bad. If nothing else, it made me unique. In fact, everything was going to be fine. My baby could come any day. I was completely ready for them. My mood much improved. I grabbed another cookie and began to munch. He looked at me, a question obviously hanging. Did he have something weighing on his mind, too?
Hey, Sophia. You ate all of my share, too.
Well,